How's everybody doing? It's Tanya right here, hitting you up with a news update from Rainbow Six Siege. We got a little bit of information on what's coming up on the test servers on the 31st of March, and I have been thinking about them and have decided that I wanted to talk a little bit about how I think it's going to change the meta and change the operators that are included in the patch notes. So, without wasting any time, let's get right into it. So, I'll be talking about them in order, and to begin with, we'll talk about Buck. So, we've seen this before. They nerfed Buck by giving away his frag grenades in exchange for a claymore. Now, we've seen this with IQ. It worked very well with her, and I think it's going to work perfectly with Buck as well as a nerf, because right now Buck brings a lot of utility to the team, including destructive utility as in kill power with the frag grenades, and utility as in he can stop bandit, he can break batteries through drone holes, etc., making him a menace to play against. But they also decided that he has to keep the nature of his character, which is the skeleton key. They increased the skeleton key from, I think it's 4-1 now, to 5-1, which is one more bullet per magazine, which is fine one. That doesn't matter too much, but it's okay. But they also changed the skeleton key to have 25+1. That is a good chunk more of ammo on the skeleton key, resulting in a Buck being much more viable on his job, which is breaking walls. More holes, more open doors. Secondly, coming up, we have a change to Caveira, which I don't know why this hasn't been implemented before, but here we are. Caveira got the Razor Hollow Sight for her M12. If you're unfamiliar, the Razor Hollow Sight is the hollow sight that Mozzie has, and Frost also recently got on the latest patch, which is fine. I don't think that's going to have an effect on Caveira, mainly because the majority of the players will use her shotgun because it's a better option, and she already has a good pistol as a long-range weapon, and her thing is to do close quarter, not long range. But there's a massive upcoming change to Jaeger, which is 2 speed, 2 armor Jaeger. So we're all familiar with Jaeger being the probably one of the best roamers in the entire game, and being a menace to play against, a total terror to have fight you, because he has one of the strongest guns, and his gun is literally like an assault rifle on defense, or as close you can get to it. And he also is speedy as fuck, so he can run around the map. Now, Jaeger becoming a 2-2 is going to change a little bit probably on how he plays. He can't be too far offside anymore. He also is going to lose a few more duels because he's going to peak slower. I think this is a good change, but it's yet to see. There's also one more implication to it, which is when Jaeger gets a nerf, when Mai gets a buff, you always have to remember that when Kite gets nerfed, Bandit gets buffed, etc. Operators that are designed around the same ability concept will get buffs when one gets a nerf. So this might actually bring Mai to become much more viable, which I think is healthy for the game, because I want it to be viability in picking other operators than Jaeger, Bandit, etc. Another upcoming change that we have to deal with is Mozzie losing his shotgun. This is something I think is meh, because I really like playing Mozzie, but I think it's healthy because right now Mozzie brings a lot of not only counter intelligence, but he steals intelligence from the opposing team by taking their drones and using them against them. This is massive and can also work really well because they kind of have to peek a doorway, get rid of the gadget before they can drone it, or they have to sacrifice a drone 100%, which in higher levels of play costs a lot, because droning proper spots is really important. I think this is a fine change because it makes him less viable as a roamer and less independent on every other teammate. So in the long run, I think this is a good change. I'll be talking a little bit more about Ying in a second, but I'll first cover Kite and Goyo. Kite and Goyo got their shotguns nerfed from 84 damage, which was high, to 55. This is almost a 30 damage nerf. That is massive. I think this doesn't really affect Goyo too much because his alternative alternative gun is the Vector, which is fantastic. I mean, we've seen it on Mirror. It's a great gun. Also works well with Goyo's ability because the shields do have the see-through holes now, or the one-way window or windows, so you can actually just quick peek and pre-fire. Kaid, on the other hand, is gonna suffer from this nerf, because this makes Kaid might have to play with the AUG, which is not a good gun for the defenders. I mean, you see Mai is picking the MP5 over the AUG, which says a lot, because the MP5 is not a good gun either. But, I mean, it might be healthy. The nerf to Kaid is gonna latch together a little bit with Ying, which I'm gonna have a longer talk about now. But Kaid is gonna see more play because Ying gets buffed, and here is why. So, Ying got buffed. They gave her an extra Candela, which matters a bit because that allows you to willy-nilly use one Candela for all intents and purposes, because we see that the 3 Candelas are sufficient. They are enough to do an execute, they're enough to do a push. But this also allows you to burn ADSs with it, which is massive, because this allows you to ensure that all the Candelas that you're throwing after, or smoke grenades, will become much more likely to hit the spots. Well, speaking of smoke grenades, they took away her claymore and gave her smoke grenades again. So for those of you who remember, Ying used to be a menace in the execute meta that we had, where Ying would throw out her smoke grenades, flash the entire room, Montagne or whatever would execute, and you could have a, what's it called, Capitao to firebolt just the smokes, and you'd have an execute. You almost ensure the plant. Remember, one more thing. This was when the plant timers were shorter. But they also buffed her LMG. I think that might be a little bit of overtuning. I think they should have done with these two, and then seen how it develops. So when Ying gets a buff, you have to remember the implication is Glass gets a buff, Capitao gets a buff, because it's really good to firebolt into smokes, especially if they're flashed. You can also ensure kills without any odds of them running away. And the more smokes you have, the more likely an execute is, and Capitao brings both smokes and block-offs. But there are 2 operators that get buffed by this again, because when Ying is more viable, so is likely Montagne. And the more viable Montagne is, the more viable Oryx is. This is kind of cool because Oryx is a new operator, he hasn't really seen massive amounts of play. But there's the operator that was forgotten and literally was made for the meta that got broken before he got released, which is Warden. Warden is probably going to see a huge jump in plays if Ying gets into the meta, as I'm predicting, because Warden is glass for defenders. If you as a defender ban glass or ban Ying or whatever, like if you ban Ying, you have no reason to pick Warden, but if you keep Ying in, you can get a couple of free kills by keeping Warden into the game, because Warden is designed, or was designed, to break the Ying meta, the Ying heavy execute meta, before they changed their Candelas to roll on one charge up instead of explode on one charge, because the old Candelas used to instantly pop on the first charge when they hit the floor if you didn't channel them up. Now they're opposite, you have to charge them full to get the insta pop, because Ying used to be able to just yeet her Candela all over the bomb site and just rain terror. I think this is going to be a huge upcoming change in general. I think it's great for the game. I think this might be one of the few changes where we actually just get a meta shift, which I don't think we've really had in Siege as far as I can remember, where just because we change a few operators, the entire gameplay plan changes a little bit up and makes the game like get a little bit of fresh air. So I'm really interested in hearing what you guys think. I think the upcoming changes are good. If you have any opinions, I'd love to discuss them below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.